In this video, we're going to be discussing layered architecture, which is also known as the N-tier architecture. Now, the layered architecture organizes a system into horizontal layers, which each with each specific responsibility. And the communication flows through all of these different components in the layered disciplined manner. And the reality is there are four that I would like to discuss here. One, the presentation layer, the business logic layer, the data access layer, and the database layer. Let's pick each of these and explain what they mean. Now, what is a presentation layer? A presentation layer is simply your user interface, right? Your user interface and user interaction logic. It's what your users will see and they will click. That's simply what your presentation layer is. Now, what the business logic area layer is your core application logic, right? This is where the rules are done. This is where the calculations are done. This is where the workflows are implemented based off of your business requirements. Now, what is the data access layer? The data access layer is simply the database interactions. Interactions like queries, your data persistence logic, they are all abstracted from your business rules. But finally, let's explain what the database layer is. The database layer, as it simply is that physical storage and retrieval mechanism whereby you can sort of store information and you can retrieve information. But what are the benefits of the NTL architecture? One of the advantages of the NT architecture is that teams can specialize by layer. So you have your front end team, your back end team, your database team. They develop and they test components in isolation, right? That's one of the benefits for teams. So you can simply say, group your teams into front end team, back end team, database team. And each of these teams develop in isolation, right? You Another advantage here is changes to one layer minimally impacts another layer, right? If you change things on the front end, the the impact might not be as great on the back end, except the changes are probably like very unnatural, right? Another point here is that the structure naturally aligns with how organizations divide responsibilities. If you think about it, we within most teams we have front-end engineers, back-end engineers, database managers, you have DevOps engineers. That structure really just aligns, right? And these are the strengths that we talk about when we talk about the NT architecture. Now there are trade-offs really when it comes to NT architecture. Every request in an NT architecture passes through multiple layers, and then it adds obviously adds some overhead, right? Because every request will go through from the front end, right? That is the presentation layer, to the business logic layer, to the to the database layer, right? And so on, right? There is this rigid layering that can make scaling the system components like harder. And if it's poorly designed, right, it can lead to something we call layer bleeding, where responsibilities are blurred across the different boundaries of your system. And so it's really important to be very careful when using the NT architecture for these reasons. And so, is the NT architecture bad? Is it good? No, right? It's dependent on the context. But for all of these reasons, for all of these advantages, for the communication patterns, if it fits your business requirements, then an NT architecture is best. But you know what? An NT architecture is simply how systems are today, right? You have front end teams, you have back end teams, you have database teams. So the question to ask yourself and your engineering team is, what type of architecture are we using? And if we're using this, are we following the right patterns, the right rules, and the right leverage concerns that we need to sort of look into. And the truth is, there's so many questions to be asked as a system designer, right? And there's a video that I'm going to make for questions to be asked, whether you're a beginner, a product manager, a project manager, a founder. There are questions to ask your system teams where you can basically ask questions like a system designer, and you'll be able to get answers that basically suit your needs. So stay tuned and check out the video on questions to ask like a system designer.